The next thing we can do is add a class based on if one of these is clicked or not. Right now, there's no indication to our users what page they are on, aside from reading the content, but we want our navigation to handle that for us. There's another directive that is available to us where we can add a class based on if this router link is active. We'll do router link active is equal to active. And this is the CSS class that will be applied if this router link is what's matched. So we'll copy this, paste it in those three places. Let's take a look at our app and see exactly if this class is getting applied. We'll right click, inspect element, and notice the class is active since we're on the about page. And if we click away, we can see that the class is no longer set to active. Let's do something with that class. Let's go back into our app component.ts. We'll add styles back in line here. We won't need too many lines. If we wanted, we could also separate this out into its own file. We'll do the active class, and thanks to the shadow DOM, this active class will only be applied to this specific template, and it won't bleed out into any of the other components. That's why it's okay to kind of just call it .active here. We'll do color is FFF, which is white. Let's take a look. We're on the contact page. That doesn't seem to be applying. It looks like the navbar color is overriding our color here. Let's just go ahead and add the important tag to it. For demonstration purposes, we just want to make sure that that class is taking. And you can see that the contact page is now active and colored white and white. Now the problem here, why is the logo and the home page also getting colored full white? Now the trick to that is if we look at our routes, app.routing, we have path is blank, and that's what's considered the home page route. If we look here, Angular is actually debating as this ends in a blank, so that is going to match that route as well, and that's why this active class gets applied here. Now one thing we can do is use another directive that's provided to us and provide options as to how we want this to match. All of those fancy words just saying that we want the homepage link to make sure that it only applies for this homepage link. We'll add this to it. We'll do router link active options. And we'll pass in an object. We want to make sure that exact is set to true. This is another directive we can use, but I bet you're probably wondering why we're actually using the property binding brackets instead of just calling out the router link or router link active without the brackets. The reason being is that we're just evaluating a string here, so we're passing in a string into the directive. In this case, this directive is requiring to evaluate this object, which is a lot more complicated than just a basic string. And that's why we're using the property binding, because we're telling Angular, hey, we need to actually do a little bit more than just pass in a string. So I want you to evaluate what's on the right side of this equal sign. Let's take a look to make sure that works. Our home page is no longer highlighted. About is and home is. Well, looks like we also need to apply the router link active options to the logo. And we'll clean this up a little bit. Now our home page has both of these highlighted, about page and contact page. So with these three directives, router link and router link active and router link active options, we actually have very powerful ways to navigate around our application. Next up, we'll do something that we need to do in every single one of our applications, is to handle a 404 error where a page cannot be found.